You have to see how many bees are in this garden. It's kind of a wild jungle, but it's totally worth it. Look at all of them. Just watch the screen. I don't think I've ever had this many pollinators, bees, whatever, in this garden before. I needed to weed the path that goes there, which you can't even see. I do have the tunnel here, which you also can't see. There are vegetables in this bed, which you can't see. You can see some radish seeds right there. But honestly, seeing this today, I'm so happy I didn't weed this, because look how happy they are. It's just like, can you listen? Listen really close. I'll turn the sound up. It's just buzzing. I am like, this is crazy to me. So we're expecting frost any day. I think probably the Sunday night maybe would be, I mean, it's gonna drop. So the weather app says it's going to be 50s at night. It was 44 degrees this morning when we woke up. So we can chop 10 degrees off of whatever our weather app says most of the time, which means if it says 44 for night temperatures, it means it's really going to be 34 or lower. So I will show you these tomatoes. They are starting to ripen. You can see a couple, like there's one right there. And we've actually been eating the cherries. So I'm very excited about that. I will take you through here in a little while. Should we take a little tour of the garden before Mr. Jack Frost walks through? Yeah, maybe we'll do like the good, bad, and ugly. Like what kind of things worked and what kind of things didn't work. So this is the kitchen garden. Just in case you're new and you're just joining us, this is our kitchen garden. It's located not very far away from our front door, so that I can just come out here and grab a snack or grab some salad greens for dinner or whatever. I've got a couple of strawberry beds here, and there's another one down there. And just in case you're just joining us, so I'm really sorry, you guys. It's going to be very smoky today, but I have a feeling that's not going to change now until we get some rains. So we're going to go ahead and do this anyway, and just pardon the smoke and the haze. We just put this garden into raised beds this spring. If you didn't catch that video, I will leave a link for it up in the box for you guys, and you guys can watch that after this. The reason that we chose to do raised beds was because of the voles primarily. The reason we chose to do metal raised beds was because our growing season is so short here. It's kind of an issue. So we have had these strawberries here. They didn't really produce a whole lot, just a couple. I didn't really let them do very much. They're just a regular June bearing. But this bed behind me, this is a everbearing bed. So we picked off all of the flowers in the beginning of the season when we very first planted these plants, and then now we can go ahead and let them flower, and they've been fruiting really well. So I'll show you that. So we've got lots of fruit on here. The kids beat us to it most days, and these will continue bearing all the way until frost pretty much. But they usually don't get past this stage right here because my kids eat them. So we did have some things that kind of just grew in here. This is an oric, red oric. It comes in, well, it kind of just grows in both of these colors, which are really pretty. We use the leaves when they're young for spinach and use them fresh in salad. And then we also, you can cook if you like cooked greens. We don't really like cooked greens, but you can use those bigger leaves for that. But right now, this part makes like a really pretty addition to a flower bouquet. So it kind of self-sows through the garden. We also have some dill that grew by itself in here. We have some black-eyed Susan right here. And here's another really pretty one. I threw in a couple tomatoes because we had the space, and a couple of these strawberry plants, they didn't make it. So threw those in, and they are taking over everything. I think I'm going to chop them back a little bit this weekend. Try to encourage some more ripening. And then we did have some poppies, which I'm going to go ahead and cut those out because I don't really want them in here. So next year we likely will encourage just strawberries to grow in here, not really anything else. But I say that now, and you know, I don't know. I might change my mind. So this is our little fire pit, and then our food forest kind of wraps around here. And these are the honeyberries. They're pretty done for the year. And then I've got an apple tree back over there. It hasn't bore any fruit yet. And then there's the jostaberry, and it kind of wraps around behind. We have a few other fun things planted over there, but the kitchen garden sort of goes in here. This is a Jerusalem artichoke, which is huge. It's, gosh, that's probably 11 feet, I would say. It's really pretty tall. And then the scarlet runner beans. So the scarlet runners, the jostaberry, and pretty much all of the raised beds have done really well this year. We tried out a new mix called Dragon Stir Fry mix from Baker Creek, and I highly recommend it. It has pretty much continued to produce food for us from the very beginning to the very end of the season. All that's left now is just some sort of red Russian kale in here, and that's fine. We're happy with that. I could have planted more of the stir fry mix, but it's a little bit tricky here because it will get so hot. Like right now it is so hot, but then our nighttime temperatures are going to start dropping, and they're going to drop really hardcore. Like normally it's 40s to 60s through the whole summer. Sometimes it stays up in the 70s even, but pretty soon here it's just going to drop right down to the 20s. It's going to be a little bit crazy. So anyway, all of the cold crops that are in this raised bed area, they're perked up. They're doing great. Even the ones that looked a little sad in this bed recently, the kale, the Swiss chard, and these kohlrabi, they're all perking up. I should have gone ahead and replanted, but I didn't. I really didn't. I wanted to have more of a winter garden this year, and I just don't think it's in the cards. That's okay. We still have lots of beets in here, all kinds of stuff. There's some blank spots, which I don't really love that, but it is what it is. Now, if I wanted to, and I had the material, I just didn't get to it this year, I could go ahead and put a 6mm plastic over the top of all these beds and a frost cover, like a really light one, and I could continue growing most of these crops for quite a few more months. So I don't think I'm going to do that. I just don't think I'm going to do it this year. So we'll see. We're just going to see how long this grows without it. I kind of want to do an experiment with it and just see. If our temperatures drop like crazy, these beans will not stay alive. So we're just harvesting as much as we can. These beans did really well. This little tomato did pretty good and is still continuing to produce. We have lots of kohlrabi and rutabaga right here. The only bed that didn't do very good, it's kind of a maze. I'm gonna have to be careful because of the bees in here, you guys, but that's okay. This bed didn't do great. We had the peas, which we planned on saving seed. That's what we did. That part went really well. We had radishes, which grew really fast and really crazy, the French breakfast, and we saved seed from those as well. And I think what ended up happening was that the bed just didn't get as much water because those plants, when you save seed, just get so big. And I think that was an issue. If my voice gets harsh, like hoarse, it's because it's very smoky today. But the Kiss Me Over the Garden Gate is gigantic. That's that big plant right there. I've been pretty happy with it. It doesn't look quite how I imagined it to look. I guess I thought it was going to have way more flowers on it, but this is only year one, and I don't know, to be honest, I don't know what to expect. So do you grow Kiss Me Over the Garden Gate? If you do, leave it down in the comments. Tell me if you've got pictures. That'd be even better. But like, does it self-sow? Is it biennial? I have no idea. If you know, let me know. So here's sort of a look at the back of the kitchen garden. That's the kohlrabi, Swiss chard, and kale. And then we have all the beets right there and the purple potted pole beans growing up that trellis. These sunflowers, honestly, I think I'm gonna go ahead and cut them down. They're blocking a lot of light and they're really just falling over at this point. We had a tremendous amount of rain recently and that caused quite a few issues. So I don't know, I might leave, like, see that head right there is huge. So I might leave that one, but that's kind of a look up here. The fedge, which I have started back here, is actually looking pretty good. This is a little maple tree, which always, you can see here, it always dies back so bad. So I left it this year. Got some good growth. We have a lilac in the corner and a honeyberry there. And then this is the boysenberry, which I am dreading. I need to lift it up and put it on the fence. But I'm contemplating leaving these vines, covering them with straw this year, and seeing if they come back better next year that way. So what's your guys' opinion? What should I do? Shall I hang them up here and just take my chances, or should I cover them with straw? Let me know in the comments. Then I have some more lilac in here, another one there, a forsythia right here, and another lilac and another honeyberry. I have a jostaberry on the other side over there. So we did an experiment last fall where we laid down a huge amount of maple leaves that we got just from our friends who live in town, and we put them down in a really thick, like, I don't know, 16 inches, maybe even deeper in some areas. And then we covered that with wood chips. And the reason we did that was to kill and smother out all of the knapweed, especially the knapweed that grows back here. And I think it's done a pretty good job. I feel like we need to do it again with more maple leaves and more wood chips this fall. But not as deep, and just kind of weed through here and pull out what did pop up. And I think that's going to work really well. So if you don't have cardboard or you don't have newspaper, this is another option for you in your Back to Eden garden. It's got pretty good results. I'm very happy with it this year. So I think I'm going to go ahead and take you over to the cellar garden. And we had a lot of great successes in the main garden, and I've been very happy with it. But because the paths and the sunflowers overgrew again, this is kind of an ongoing problem, then we can't really access it. Now, part of the problem was the kitchen garden is our early spring garden. So that gets planted first and maintained the most. Then we move to the cellar garden, which is sort of our summer garden. So that gets maintained pretty well and it also has a lot of good systems built into it. So it does stay maintained. But our main crop garden, or our more fall garden, that doesn't get maintained quite as well. It's a little bit farther from the house. It's way back there, way in there. And we just don't visit as often. So we really have to purpose to get out there and keep it weeded. It has produced pretty good. We had great flowers. You've seen lots of videos of me out there in it, and we got tons of potatoes out of it, and that's awesome. But it also has received the most vole damage, which is very frustrating. So I'm going to flip the camera. I'm going to show you guys some of what's going on in here, and then I'll take you and walk you through the main garden a little bit more. This is my squash patch, which you have seen. Whoops, I'll try to get my shadow out of here. I took a little birthday trip, and as you can see, I really need to come in here and harvest some more squash, which is very exciting for me. This never happens on this farm because we don't usually even get this far. So here's another zucchini. There's a cute little bee in there pollinating. Actually, technically it's a wasp. We have quite a few spaghetti squash. Here's one. And there's a few more. They're just kind of scattered in here. Anyway, there's quite a lot happening in this hatch. I think the nasturtiums are very happy that we've gotten some colder weather. The pepper tunnels, I need to harvest a bunch of peppers out of there. I still have not done that, but that's on the agenda for the weekend. And they're pretty loaded, you guys. Look at all those peppers in there. I need to open this up. It's very hot. It's gonna be triple digits today, it sounds like. But we've got the broccoli. We've been harvesting these cabbages that we planted right here, so those are about done. We have a few more tucked in. The broccoli plants had slowed down quite a bit and when it was so hot, but now that the temperatures, especially at nighttime, are cooling down, the broccoli has just started producing like crazy. So I have tons I need to get out here and harvest. Now, if you didn't know this, you can harvest the main head of the broccoli, which will be quite large. These ones that's already been done. And then it will send off all these little runners, these little shoots, and those are all good. And you can eat all these little tiny leaves as well. They're very good. We like them in salad, or you can use them in stir fry, anything like that. Here in this row, right here along the cabbages, we had a bunch of onions, which we have harvested. And then we have all of these beans. The ones on the end are Scarlet Runner. And we have 3 other kinds throughout here. They are the like a pinto bean variety, a red bean, and a black bean. We're kind of, the reason, I mean, if you wanted to save seed, you wouldn't grow them side by side like this because they would cross a little bit. But I don't know which one is my favorite yet. So we're just testing it out to see which one grows the best, produces the best. And that will probably be the one we continue on with. This one did really well, whatever this one is. It produced pretty early, and it seems like this is going to be the one that we get the most off of. So I'm excited about that. Yep, so there's like a little extra onion there. We're just waiting for his top to fall over. And then we do still have some broccoli and cabbages and maybe even cauliflower left in this row. Got these. I think these are probably the black bean. That makes sense. Around here are the fabulous tomatoes. I'm so excited, you guys. Look at all these. So they are turning. These are all cherries. These are fox cherry. I don't even know if you can find seeds for fox cherry anymore. It was one of the very first ones I saved seeds from. The very first tomato I ever planted was a fox cherry, and they are like this big, so good size, but produce tons. As you can see, this is like from here to here is all one plant. And then I've got several other varieties in here which I'm testing out to see, and I think they're gonna turn, you guys. I really do. Look at them all. Let's see. Oh yeah, look, that guy's turning. That guy's turning. Yay! Those little guys are turning in there. Here's another one. Oh yeah, look at them all. Those ones are turning. This guy looks like he's turning. All these Romas, well, they're not Romas, they're paste tomatoes are turning, so it's pretty good. This row here, we had tall telephone pea, which is my absolute favorite pea to grow. You can eat the pod early, or you can choose to let it go and just eat fresh peas from it, or you can save seed from it really well. And also, so this is a pretty bad example, but this is a better example of how absolutely huge they can get. I mean, they grow just enormous. Lots of peas, great flavor, super sweet. They don't get very bitter, and they're just really good. They grow very well for me. I do have some cucumbers, which I was testing to see if you could grow peas and then cucumbers here. I don't think it's a long enough season, but these guys got pretty shaded out, so I think I'll have to try it again next year. Here's another one right there, and there's nothing on them, unfortunately. There's another one right back there. We tried, but I have since planted some blackberries in here, and there's one right there. So the plan is to turn this row into a berry production. Okay, I can't believe we're already doing the last garden tour. I feel like we just started. It's kind of crazy. Sadly, our pond pump died. So we don't have a pond going right now, sadly. We have lots of jobs to do this fall, but right now the bees and the smoke are kind of stopping us from doing too much work. Let's see if I can even get through here. At a certain point in the summer, the work shifts from being able to weed the garden to just being able to harvest and keep up with the harvest. So obviously what matters more is harvesting when that time comes. So we worked our tails off until we just couldn't anymore, and then we had to switch over to harvest. So this is the kids' garden. They grew mostly potatoes in here this year. They did really well, and we've already harvested those. We've got some remaining sunflowers, which are just leaving. And then we have an ever-bearing raspberry planted back here, and usually we don't get any fruit off of it. I'm working on pulling it all out because we're about to get frost, and as you can see, we just now have some buds on here. So sadly, that doesn't work very well for us. But I do have some gigantic mint in here. Should smell that. Oh yeah, it smells so good. I love mint. I let mint free range in my garden. I have enough space. The currants that are behind me, right there in that little patch, they grew really well this year. We got lots of currants. This apple tree that we planted is doing pretty good. I need to be able to get more water back here. So next year we're going to be thinking about what we want to do about our water system. So if anyone has a favorite watering system besides just overhead sprinklers, I don't love drip. If you have something that works for you, I would love to hear your comments down below. That'd be awesome. Ooh, this is exciting. I haven't been back here in a while. So we did plant all of this was potatoes recently. Most of them have been harvested. My mom's been doing an amazing job harvesting those for me. And we've been enjoying a lot of potatoes. And then we did get a ton of golden raspberries off this patch until the bees kind of started beating us to it. Actually, I always say bees. It's a wasp. Wasps and bees are very different. They have usually two different purposes or functions in the garden, and the ones that are really aggressive are wasps. They're not my favorite. They're kind of jerks, to be honest. They're not my favorite. But they do have a purpose. So anyway, I am waiting to see. I hope these guys survive. I hope that they are able to produce again next year for us. We're gonna find out. So this is definitely the best this patch has ever done. We worked really hard to get the grass out of here and mulch this whole area right here. So I am hoping that we're rewarded for our work. This is what I'm very, very excited to show you. This is an aronia. It's been planted here for quite a few years. And now it's actually going to ripen. If you're not familiar with this plant, this is mullein. I let it grow quite a lot in my garden. We use these little flowers here. We'll use the whole stalks. We use the leaves. We use basically this entire plant. It's really awesome. We use this for making a mullein and garlic oil, and then we'll use these for fire starter, and then the leaves we use for different herbal medicines and remedies. So, all right, guys, we did our best. We did plant the onions out here. I was faithful to water. I remember there was the whole straw fiasco, which didn't work very well. So the onions back here did not ever get mulched, which it shows. They are pretty small for the most part, but they did grow. So we are working to harvest this. I probably need to water again. It's been so hot. I've just been working to water the things that look the best. We did harvest all the potatoes out of that area that we could possibly harvest. And to be honest, the voles got them first. So we are working on a very creative and exciting solution for that. I will share it with you next year. Just want to make sure that the pieces get put into the right places before I share the information, but I cannot wait to share with you what we're going to do on that. Stay tuned to next spring. It will be exciting. Whatever we decide to do will be exciting. I do have the apple trees that are just in here. They're doing fine. Our elderberry is doing really good. This current patch produced really well this year. I was pretty excited about that. We went through and pulled out all this grass. Can you tell? So we're gonna have to probably dig another trench to cut it off and then keep pulling it. But again, working in here with all of the pollinators, also working in here, and it's so warm in the mornings right now, they are already hard at work before we can even get out. So right now, basically this giant jungle, which is so beautiful with all these sunflowers and black-eyed Susans, it's pretty much just gone to the pollinators, which I'm fine with, totally fine with. So it's a bit later in the day from when I showed you all of the busy bees working, and you know what? They are still working. There's one in that little flower right there. They're so cute. I was able to kind of take back some of these older sections. So this is the blueberries. There's a row of hyssop right there, and the raspberries are back. And this has done really well. I have another big section right there. I think we're just gonna dig the whole thing out and replant strawberries in there this fall. I think that will help it. And then we also are gonna dig the periwinkle out of this spot. I don't know if you guys have ever planted periwinkle, but this started with like one tiny little strand, and now it's literally choking out all these strawberries, all of the cover I have in here, and I can't keep it out of anywhere. So we're just gonna pull it out and be done with it and not have it in there. We'll put a different kind of ground cover in and probably just let more strawberries go. We did take this back pretty well this year, and we definitely have a lot of work to do in this section. But if you guys have caught any of my other videos, other garden tours, you know, so the kitchen garden is back around the house on that side. We are starting around there and just working to take back all of this. And the reason we lost it in the first place was because of the voles and this creeping grass right here. So this creeping grass grows with runners under the ground, and it's a really big pain in the neck. So you can see I still have a little bit here that needs to be pulled again. When you pull it though, you have to get all the roots, otherwise it's like Hydra. So it comes back with multiple heads. Oh, there's a hummingbird, you guys. It came to say hi. Oh, so yeah, look at that. So this is why we're leaving this, because the hummingbirds, the hummingbird moths, all of the bees, we have several kind of wild honeybees and all kinds of things. They're all just so happy in here. It's worth it to me. So I am gonna try and take you through here. Here we go. So this is the perennial flower section, which did pretty good this year. I kind of changed it up a little. Right now you can see the echinacea is blooming. If anybody knows why, mine does this every year. The petals get all crispy on the edge, even when it's a new flower. Do you know why it does that? I have no idea. But the daisies are done. Pretty much everything is done in this section. I used to have phlox that would grow in here, tall garden phlox, but the voles love it, so it's not really in there anymore. I think there's one plant back there, and I do have some beans. You can barely see them. So I think I will come through and at least weed the path out of here next week and see if I can't get in there, or even maybe I'll go in and see if I can go see if there's any beans on there. Oh, actually I see a bean right there. Do you see it hanging? We'll see how fall. There you go. Do you see it? That's a dragon tongue bean. They're so pretty. Yeah. So I guess we're gonna have to try and figure out how to get in there at least a little bit, guys. I don't know. All of this that you see, all of these guys, this is all catnip that's gone to seed. That's one of the reasons we have it everywhere. And I let it. That's okay with me. We'll just dig it out when we don't want it. And then all our herb bed right here. This is all like lemon balm and peppermint, and that's Titus the rooster, who always has something to say. Don't you, buddy? Where are ya? What are you guys doing? The chickens like being on the edge of the garden. I have the chickens on the edge of the garden for pest control, for vole control, for being able to just easily throw weeds over the back fence, and because they help keep the raspberries in check. a little bit on the back. So that does work very well. I'm pretty happy with that system. It works pretty well for us. But anyway, I think this is gonna actually serve as my like garden journal, because I know I said I was gonna do it and I just didn't go. I should have just gone and got my garden journal right away, but I didn't do that. So now I'm gonna have to rewatch all these videos so I remember what not to do next year. I am very excited though. I think with the amount of work that we had to do and the amount of areas we needed to take back, we actually have done a really good job of taking it back. And this behind me is an example. So instead of just weeding it and leaving it and letting it go back to weeds, which is what happened. Well, there are veggies planted in here, I promise. You just can't see them. A little bit that happened in this space. So instead of letting this happen over there, we've decided we're gonna do this instead. So we took the black fabric and we went ahead and so we pulled all the weeds out. We laid a really thick covering of straw and old goat bedding and just different manure and compost that we had. Then we covered it with the black fabric. So that's going to suppress all the weeds, all of that creeping grass, and we can just keep the edges cleaned up. And we're trying not to walk on it. But that bed is going to be ready to go in the spring. So every time we take back a section like this, like we'll probably do the kids' garden this way as well. We will pull up this black fabric when snow is imminent or when the ground starts freezing, because mostly we don't really get a whole lot, and then we'll just put it back in the spring, or we'll go ahead and plant it. But we definitely don't want to leave that fabric through the winter time, because the snow and the ice and everything will just ruin it. So we have one more place to show you before we end this video. I know this is kind of a quick garden tour today, but it's already super hot and all the plants will not look very good here in just a little bit. The light is getting very harsh, so we're just gonna keep it short. I'm very excited though. We have reached past my birthday. This is one of the latest seasons we've ever had. September 2nd is officially our latest frost, I think, yet since we've lived here. So I'm very excited I get to share that with you. Now I'm going to take you into my pumpkin jungle. Okay, ready? Okay, here we are. Look at all these crazy pumpkins. Look at this. 1, 2, 3. Whoa, come on. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, way back there on the shelf. I don't even know. There's probably more. Okay. I know this is this is not a house that is meant for pumpkins, but I had to let the soil rest. Usually I grow tomatoes and peppers in here, but the tomatoes always go all the way up there, which is about 15 to 20 feet roof, because I just didn't want to feel cramped in here. Don't laugh. I know what you're thinking. It's okay. It's okay. You can laugh. So the tomatoes would grow all the way to the ceiling, and they would have like the most beautiful plants and so healthy, but then no fruit. So it wasn't worth the space they were taking up. Peppers grow really good in here, but I've grown them every year since we built this, so 3 or 4 years now. So I felt like we needed to grow something different. Just crop rotation is good. So I thought, okay, what can I grow that will like the heat? And I always struggle with my pumpkins, so I thought, okay, let's put them in here. And the plan was to grow them in the back, which is where all of these vines, believe it or not, are planted underneath that shelf in the back. None of them wanted to go through. So I have those baling twines along the back wall. None of them wanted to climb the baling twine, and they all just creeped this way, and it kind of happened pretty rapidly. So before I could do anything about it, it was already a little too late. And so if my mom goes missing or I go missing, just check the pumpkin house because the pumpkins probably just grabbed us while we were in here. It is fun though. I mean, it maybe looks a little messy to some people, but it's very exciting when you come out and you discover what is growing, like this giant leafed kale I have right here. The beans I planted there are done, as you can tell. I don't know what this problem is, but they seem to get this every year in this greenhouse. So I may not plant any in here. I gotta rip them out. I just haven't done it yet. It gets very hot in here. I do have some figs growing, which I got to taste my very first fig on my birthday. They're delicious, so I'm excited. I have like 10 plants, maybe 9 plants. They will not live out here all winter. They're gonna come in the house. Should probably come in the house this weekend under the grow lights. That giant thing is a horseradish back there. And then we have, oh man, we just have so much stuff. This is a grape that's growing. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, you guys. It can't stay in here probably, but for now it's happy. And then we have all kinds of stuff just tucked in here. Look at these cayenne peppers. I've never seen cayenne so fat and big before, but they are, and they're very happy, so. Yeah, the gladiolus got a little choked out, sadly. I would say overall, this has been an extremely productive and really great growing season. I know it got off to a really late start, like really late start, but it's been really, really productive. So I think I am onto something. I think I have finally cracked the code for being able to grow in our climate and on this property where it's so short. So even though it was a short season, the fact that we've gotten this much production out of these really warm loving plants, not only in the greenhouse, but also outside in the summer garden, I think I figured it out. So my plan and my goal is to be able to share those tips and tricks with you guys probably, let's say after Christmas, like the beginning of next year, so that you guys can plan for your own gardens and making some changes and be able to have plenty of time to order in the things you're going to need to order, like the black agriculture fabric. That's a hint. Game changer. Oh my gosh, total game changer. So I'm pretty excited to share all that stuff with you guys, but I want to make sure I go over all my notes and don't leave anything out. So stay tuned. Thank you for hanging out with me for probably our last major garden tour of the season. I can't believe I'm saying that already, but I am. We will be harvesting all the stuff. I'll probably do a harvest video here soon. Pretty soon. This greenhouse will hang on with no heat for quite a while yet, so we will still have more greenhouse tours. But as far as outside garden tours, well, I guess it'll be a surprise for both of us. So I hope you have a blessed weekend. Happy Labor Day. I will probably not post a video on Monday. I think we're going to take some family time, but I will see you guys back on Wednesday. So thanks for hanging out. I'll see you again next time.